Good morning, everyone. Hi. Are there any microphones for the audience? Where is Rick? Rick, are there any microphones for the audience? So, I've been thinking a lot about what elements occurred in the lives of people that I know who have become very successful. I now have a whole 26-year period to sort of look at the people who were there. There are people at the conference who were there at the very beginning of Witty, because as all of you know, it takes a village to build anything significant. And I realized that one commonality that all of the women I know and have known for many years have is when they go to their jobs, whatever their jobs were, they not only give it 1,000%, which many of us know women tend to do, but they also are focused on how they can contribute to the company they work for. And the other part of that I've been thinking about is when Witty started, the technology industry was a very vertical industry, as everyone knows. And now, of course, there is no business, no industry in the world that does not utilize and depend on technology. So it's moved dramatically from a vertical industry to a horizontal one. And at the time Witty started, you might meet a CIO, probably a man, who his job was focused on just making sure all the technical issues were taken care of. But the difference today is that every one of us who makes decision in any department in a company must thoroughly understand the business of the company, because companies can no longer afford to have people making decisions in a vacuum. So one of our goals here, and throughout the years in Witty, has been to take our members and help them understand the connection between the business of the company that they're working for and the job they're doing, because we know that once you really understand that and can communicate that, whether you're going for a project, this applies to everyone, men and women. If you're going for a project that you want to win, for a promotion, if you're going for a raise, if you're going to apply to a new job, what the person you're talking to wants to hear, do you understand the business of the company? Do you understand how your job connects to the business of the company? And are you all about what you can contribute to the business of the company? And that when companies find people who really get that and then fully express that, you set yourself apart from about 90% of the people they're interviewing, and unfortunately a large number of employees. So I'm always looking for ways to give the women and men who are part of Witty that I love so much just that extra competitive edge. Any comments? So now I'd also like to ask you for feedback. I know that the majority of you on Sunday, could you raise your hands if this is your first Witty conference? Okay, great, welcome. I hope this is a transforming experience for you. Our goal is that everyone who walks into a Witty conference walks out with their prism through which they see themselves in the world wider. Because we all walk in with a view of ourselves and every situation in the world, and if we can touch you in a way where you start seeing things differently and understand more options you have, then we feel we've done our job. So that's why one of the reasons we have expanded the coaching circles, and we will expand them more next year. Anybody have any experiences in the coaching circles? Could you raise your hand? So I'd really love feedback from the audience as to what you have found most helpful and what you would like to see in future conferences, because we always want to really make sure that you're getting your needs met. Anyone want to volunteer? And too tired? Go ahead. Do you want to stand up, please? Can someone give her a microphone over here?
Oh, okay. So what I found about the coaching circles was the intimacy of the group and the safety that you felt about sharing the challenges that you're having in a less intimidating environment.
And was that helpful to you?
I found it very helpful to me. I felt it made me really open up a little bit more about the challenges that I face and be able to get to the solution a lot quicker.
Excellent. Great. I love solutions. Anybody else want to comment or share something that other people might find helpful? Remember, we're here to not just have a great experience, but to help other people have a great experience. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Janet Jansen. I just wanted to say that I am one of the coaches doing the coaching circles. And while I may be doing a little plug for that, I want to say that the women here have been absolutely amazing. And you're giving us the opportunity to share what we know, but it is a place where you can go and really get more specific and detailed about a specific topic. So please come see us today. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for the suggestions. We'd like to hear more from everyone.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Landis. I live in Vancouver, Washington, and this is my first conference. What I've noticed about the coaching circles, there are topics that we hear about everywhere, like networking. There's so many different things about networking, and there's a lot of generalizations about networking. But what I've liked about the coaching circles here is that we are talking about aspects of networking that I have never heard at any other conference. And they've been very useful tips, regardless of what our personalities are or what our specific professions are. And I really do appreciate that. I go to a lot of conferences, so this has definitely been worth it for me.
So can you just share a particular nugget for those people who did not have the benefit of sitting into that coaching circle that you think would help other people here?
Oh, wow. My brain is mush right now, but because I've gone to mostly coaching circles since I've been here. Well, one example is on Sunday, John Bates's coaching circle that I sat in on. And now I can't remember any specific tips he gave us, but just the entire presentation and the entire discussion was extremely helpful for me.
Excellent.
So I hope that helps. I don't.
Thank you. Microphone over here. Rick over here.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm sure you're all like me. We know our feet hit the ground in the morning and we're running and nonstop, right?
Yeah.
So for me, the coaching circle was really good about just taking a pause, taking a subject, really letting it sink in and dive in and just get a real good closer look at whatever subject you were in with your coaching circle. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I would really encourage all of you to seek coaching throughout your career. I've used many coaches. I've worked with many coaches. There are lots of areas I still really need to work on. It's a lifelong process, but I would say in my own career that coaching has probably helped me and made a more significant difference, and good therapy, which I just consider another form of coaching, has helped me and been more life-changing than any other time investment or money investment I've made. I've definitely benefited far more than anything I put out. So I really want to encourage those of you who are really serious about achieving your goals. And one of the great things I learned from a master therapist I worked with, which was really helpful for me and I hope will help you, is she really worked with me on creating a repertoire of responses to situations. So most of us, as I was, someone will say something to us or we'll walk into a situation, we react the same way every time. It's just human nature. And so just the concept that we really don't have to react the same way every time, and how we respond has a lot to do with who we're talking with, what the situation is, the context, dramatically helped me in my career. So it's something I'd really like you to think about. I have 1 minute left, which I'd love to give to someone else. Here's someone.
Hi, my name's Rossi, and I was in Cheryl's, one of the groups yesterday, the coaching circles, and I just wanted to add, you asked for specific feedback. In that circle with Craig Copeland, we talked about the differences between networking and just going to these events, passing out business cards, et cetera, and then actually forgetting who you met and what it was about, as opposed to really connecting, getting to know that person, finding that link that binds you together, and then making that consistent relationship and nurturing it.
Excellent. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
And I just want to leave you with a final thought that this Witty is genuinely about doing everything we can to help you succeed. And for those who wonder what the connection between technology and business and all this coaching work and everything else, it's so completely integrated, because we believe that in order to do your best job, to come up with the best idea, to follow through on your project, to get breakthroughs in technology and business, it comes from the inside out. And if you don't work on the inside daily, you're never going to give yourself the promise of your great potential, because everyone sitting here has huge things you can accomplish in your lifetime. And we want to be there helping you every step of the way. So thank you, everyone. I look forward to meeting all of you. Take care.
You're so awesome.
You're on.
I want you to take a minute right before I introduce our keynote speaker and just look around the room, but make eye contact. I've noticed since I got here, I don't know how many of you have noticed this, especially when I'm walking up the stairs, I'm short. I can look up at you. I don't often get to look down at people, that really doesn't happen, but I make eye contact with every single one of you I pass by. And I usually do this. Hi, good morning. How many of you have caught me doing that with you? Anybody? All right, this is what I usually get. Hi? Or you look away. No, look each other in the eye. Because it's bad enough that we feel isolated in our jobs, especially when we're in middle management. So look each other in the eye and remember, when you're looking at that other person, I am you and me, you are me, and we are all together. We're not alone. So I want to welcome a wonderful woman to the stage from 451 Research. She is the research director, Katie Broderick, and she's going to speak to us about women in tech by the numbers. This one's going to be big because I think she's probably going to put some context around those numbers. So Katie, please come up on stage. And is she loved? Okay.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here and to be with all of you. So today I wanted to give a couple of results from a study that we carried out, actually of all of you, over the past couple of months. These are preliminary results. We're going to give the final results in a couple of months. But a lot of this presentation is really about paying it forward. It's about parity for women in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and about how do we get more women in STEM and how do we keep them there. And so just to start off, I wanted to say that we hear you. There was an open text field in the survey that we sent out to all of you, and we got 187 responses, which is actually a lot. It's a very high participation rate for an open text field. Most people don't take the time to write in there. And so I read through all of those, and there was a lot of frustration, frankly, in there about lack of progress, about playing by men's rules. There was a lot in there about that. And so I just wanted to say that we hear you. And then in terms of demographics, probably have all have heard this before, but 14 of the Fortune 500 CEOs are women, 47% of the labor force is female, and 57% of people who are getting bachelor's degrees today are women. So actually the majority, which is great. But when you zoom in on STEM, it's not so great. And so 18% of people who are getting computer science degrees are female, and 19% of people who are getting engineering degrees are female. And so I think the question is, where's the disconnect, right? Why is that happening? And I know that in our survey, when we asked all of you at your level in your organization, what percentage of other people in your group are female, and it was 30% was the average. And so let's look at why. Let's kind of drive towards things that we can do to change this. Let's make it constructive. So I think there are two main things that we can do. First off is building a pipeline. And I think we've all talked about this before. But when we go to hire for positions in STEM, there really aren't that many female candidates, frankly. And so how do we get women interested in STEM? How do we keep them in STEM? How do we show them how cool this is, frankly, right? And so one thing that we asked all of you is, when are you making the decision to enter a STEM field? I was actually really surprised by this. Almost half of all of you decided to enter STEM in grade school or in high school. So really early, right? I mean, we cannot start early enough when we're talking to women about entering STEM fields. The other groups were college and graduate school, and also afterwards switching between careers, right? And so what this means to me is we need to have more contact with younger women, right? We need to get in contact with girls and young women and show them that STEM is great for them if they find it interesting, if there's an aptitude, and really encourage that, right? To get that pipeline building. We asked all of you about why you're entering a STEM field, and this is the same, I would guess, with men and with women, that you want to do something that you're interested in, that you have an aptitude for, and that you're going to be compensated for financially, right? And so if you cross this with the previous question about when you're joining, a lot of folks in K through 12 are doing it because of aptitude, because of interest, and because of encouragement. And to me, that means that we need more programs for those young girls, right? To show them that they can be just as good at this as other folks, and that it's interesting, right? I mean, probably all of you have done some sort of experiment. I mean, I remember doing the egg drop experiment, right? So can you keep the egg intact? Or building a trebuchet, or the race car thing. I mean, there's a lot of cool interactive experiences that we can set them up with. And I think Witty can play a role in that, and all of us can play a role in that, and setting up what those experiences could be for them. For financial considerations, I think especially once you get towards high school, those kids are deciding what to major in at that point potentially. And so let's make it clear that this is a potentially financially good decision for them, right? This is a viable option, and I think that that's worthwhile to convey to them. I just wanted to talk about women's roles at home a little bit too. A lot of this starts at home. And so we asked all of you what you were raised with in terms of expectations for women. Do you have the choice to work at home or work outside of the home? Are women expected to work outside of the home, or are women expected to work inside of the home? And so if you look at this by the age of the respondent, it's generational. It's probably what you would expect. But younger women are more likely to say that they expect women to work outside of the home. Of course, I think it should be everybody's choice, but I'm just saying that in terms of building a pipeline, getting more women working would help there, right? And then we looked at it by race. This is a study that's focused on gender in STEM, but there are many, many other lenses that we need to look at here, and race is one of them, I think. And so if you look at Black and Latino families, they're more likely to believe, among all of you, that women should work outside the home, which I think is pretty interesting. One stat that really jumped out at me in terms of how to target folks for mentorship and role model kind of programs is that of all of you, for the preliminary results, 88% of you had a father that worked in STEM, which is pretty high. It's 9 out of 10. So I would say that when we're focusing on which kids should get these opportunities, maybe it's those that wouldn't get an opportunity otherwise to see what these fields look like, right? And then another thing is that if you were raised in a home where you're thinking that women should work at home, those respondents were 3 times less likely as a kid to meet a woman that works in STEM. So they just never met someone who did that, right? And I would argue that that probably decreases the probability that they're considering that they would do that themselves. So pretty big data there. Wanted to get into professional mentorships a little bit. And so this is being a mentee. This is receiving mentorship. And so the majority of all of you have received professional mentorship, which I think is great. In terms of which gender was giving you that mentorship, a lot of it was both. Some of it was male, some of it was female. I think it makes sense that it's a little bit more male than female just because of how STEM breaks out, right? And then in terms of being a mentor yourselves, a lot of you do that, which is wonderful. Actually, more give than receive, which is great. So a lot of folks that never received mentorship are giving it anyway, right? And then in terms of giving mentorship, a lot of that is giving mentorship to both females and males, and specifically to females. So that's building a pipeline, right? Focusing on younger girls, looking at aptitude, interest, encouragement. I think there's a lot of work that could be done there in terms of building those programs and setting up those activities, right? And showing them that this is an interesting field. But the other thing that I think people don't talk about as much is retaining that talent. And so once you get a woman or a man that's working in STEM, how do we keep them there? Which I think is pretty key. So we asked all of you, what is your current job title? And then what is your goal job title eventually? And so I think that what I found is that women are very ambitious. All of you are very ambitious, which is great. And so if we're looking at C-suite and vice president, that includes executive vice president, associate vice president, all of the VP levels, grouping that together, about 14% of you are in that bucket today. Going into the future, it was interesting. We had an other field, and a lot of you wrote in that you wanted to start your own business, which is incredible. And so entrepreneurship is really popular. And so if you group that in the future with C-suite and vice president, then it's 44%. So almost half of all of you want to be in that area, which is great. I think that what we do with this information is that inside of organizations, we need to make career paths for women that want to be entrepreneurs. How do you start your own business unit within a group? How do you bring those big ideas to fruition, right? And then another thing that I was thinking of is that I'm not sure if you've heard of the Google 20% time sort of rule. So 1 day a week, in the beginning at least, I'm not sure if they still do this, it's debatable. But they let their workers work on something new. And that's actually how Gmail started. And so pretty incredible. And I think that that's something else that we could take home with us and maybe advocate in our organizations. I think it goes back to having a clear career path for people so that they know if they were going to get a promotion, what would that be? And also measurable milestones to get there. People want to know that they have a future in their organization. Couldn't help myself. I had to call this What Women Want. So this is looking at the percentage of people who rated these as highly important and highly successful across these aspects of your career, right? Personal here is about personal fulfillment. And what that means is thinking that you're having a positive impact on the world and on society, right? It's not personal meaning your family. It's about going home and thinking, okay, I did something good for the world today. And so a couple of things worth pointing out here. The largest gaps in terms of importance and success were personal fulfillment and also opportunity. You can see that a lot of people think that that's very important, but only a third think that they're successful in that way, getting opportunities. The other thing that came out to me here is flexibility. You can see it's on the far right. Not much of a gap there, right? So I would argue that for the majority of people, not for everybody, but flexibility's kind of been solved a little bit in terms of flexible time, flexible work. We asked all of you if you have that potential in your organization, and over 80% of you said yes. And then we asked, do you take advantage of it, which is key, right? A lot of people have those policies, but you can't really take advantage of it. And over 80% of you said that you do. So I would say that we've got to kind of move beyond that a little bit. A silver lining here is that 80% of you said that you would recommend a career in STEM to a colleague, which is huge. So it is working out for everybody. People seem happy with it. And I think that's something that we need to publicize and make available, especially to those young kids, right? Next up, a little bit of a churn analysis here. Organizational sustainability. So what is the median tenure for all of you in your organizations? And it was about 5 years. I think that's something to take home for HR and management. If an employee's been with you for about 5 years, then you might want to check in, see how they're doing, see if they're engaged or disengaged. We asked all of you if you could stay longer, if you had more opportunities for advancement. Not necessarily a promotion right away, right? But the ability to have a promotion someday. 50% of you said that you would stay longer. How much longer? 10 years. So we could double the tenure of folks if we had those clear career paths and measurable milestones. The other thing, so this is within an organization, right? Let's look at within STEM as a field. About 15% are planning to look for a new job in the next 6 to 12 months. 36% are currently looking or are constantly looking for a new role. And 49% are not looking at all. But what that means is more than the majority are either currently looking or are going to be looking in the next 12 months, which is huge. And so how do we keep those people in STEM? How do we keep them interested and not leave the field? That's a question I think is key. And so 23% of folks that are currently or constantly looking are not sure if they're going to stay in STEM, which is kind of scary. We did all that work to get people into the STEM field. How do we keep them here? And so when we asked all of you, how do you find roles? The answer was networking. And I think that it's huge that we're here, right? There's education, there's encouragement here, there's a lot of other huge benefits to being at this Witty conference, but another one is networking, right? Talk to people about what you're doing and what's available, what's not available, what's working. I think it's worthwhile to be here to keep women in STEM. How do we prevent departures? This was the scariest data in the study, I would say. And so overall, why we left our last role, the largest reason, 26% of respondents, was because they were laid off. And so that includes mergers and acquisitions, that includes reorganizations, M&A activity. There's a lot of other kind of external things going on. But when you split that by age, folks that are under 50 years old, it's only 14% that were laid off from their last role. And for people who are over 50, it's almost a third. This was kind of surprising, a little bit scary. And so I think that the thing we need to do is when there's a reorg happening, HR and management need to get involved to make sure that when those changes are occurring, that it's at least proportional, right? That we aren't laying off more women than men. It's so hard to get them in the field in the first place. And that goes for many, many other diversity lenses as well. It's not just gender. The second most common reason was because of a lack of opportunity. It goes back to clear career paths and also making sure we have milestones to get there, right? It's not someday a promotion in 10 years. It's measurable things that will get you there. Just wanted to conclude with some final thoughts, some things that I think we can take home with us and actually do that will improve this and kind of drive towards parity. The first thing is about the pipeline, right? I think that mentorship programs, role model programs, especially for younger women, professional mentorship, the majority of us already receive and give. So maybe we need to start looking at younger folks in the pipeline and making them aware that aptitude is there, that interest could be there, and just encourage them to consider it. And also financially, right? It's a good opportunity. And I think Witty can be involved in setting guidelines for those programs, connecting people, getting involved with schools, grants. There are lots of things that we could be doing. Next up is about keeping women in STEM. So check in with employees. Are they happy? Are they engaged? Do they feel like they have a career path before them and milestones to get there? I think we're doing the right thing by being here today, networking, getting involved, seeing what's out there for opportunities. And then lastly, I just wanted to say that diversity isn't one thing. A lot of folks wrote in about this. We need to look at everything together, right? Not just through one lens. And I think that gender is one very important lens for STEM, but there are many others as well. So we need to look at other things. Last thing is just to keep the conversation going. We have a 451 Alliance at 451, and so if you wanted to hear more about tech trends, about the results of this report, there are other ways to kind of get it, but this is one way. So lastly, I just wanted to open it up for feedback if we have a couple of minutes. I think we do. Okay. Are there mics available? I'm not sure. Does this ring true? Does this kind of jive with what you all are hearing and feeling? Is this surprising? Do you think this is actionable going home? Anybody? There's one right there. There's another one. Thank you.
Hi, so I just wanted to put a shameless plug in for the Building the Pipeline. So I'm very involved in Tennessee, where I'm from, in a bunch of different activities. So if there's interest or things that you want to do, I encourage you to check out some different sites. So there's Million Women Mentors. So I think it's a sponsor for the conference as well, to try and get more women to be mentors for young women, for other young girls in STEM, so that you can see, again, kind of, look, I'm here, that you can be here. This is a super awesome career field to be in. And then there's a couple other sites and things that you can get involved in. I'm not sure if Whitty's partnered with any of them, but definitely encourage everyone to get involved. There's something local where you're at, I guarantee it. Just check it out.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Esther Frey, and I work for Robert Half, and we're a recruiting and staffing firm. And one of the comments that I wanted to make around ambition, I was really excited about those numbers, is I can't tell you how often women take themselves out of the running for a job when they read a job description to say, I don't meet all of the qualifications.
Right.
And all of the research that we've done with other partners has told us that women typically need to think they need to meet 100% of a job description, where men will apply for the same job only meeting 80% of the job description. So everyone in the room, I encourage you, when you look at an opportunity, think about it as, can I grow into that opportunity? And that's one of the things I see in my job every day, is we need to believe that we can do the job. Maybe not everything right away, but that we can grow into it.
Yep, absolutely. One last comment, if there are any. Go ahead.
Thank you for your comments. This is Andrea Hendricks with the Federal Reserve, and I had a question for you about your research. That was
Sure.
only for the participants in the program?
Yes.
Okay, so do you find any regional differences in terms of opportunities for STEM? Because I think that's a conversation that some of us have in our companies, that in certain regions there are opportunities more afforded for any, whether it's male or female, but in particular in STEM, because that's kind of driving what's the future, location. So I didn't know if you did any slicing related to that, and then what are you seeing future trends from a global or international basis in terms of talent, acquiring talent into the workforce? Is that kind of where many companies are maybe leaning towards to fill that gap, if in the United States we're not seeing that pipeline being grown with junior high, high school, college to career? So maybe two, location, and then also pipeline.
Sure, absolutely. So we saw a lot in the write-ins, actually, that location, right? So people mentioned Silicon Valley, New York City. There's definitely a locality to STEM, I would say maybe more than other industries. And it's definitely something to look into, and we can split the data that way when we publish it. Happy to look into that more. For the global nature of it, I think that people are looking more outside the United States, especially just because technology is allowing them to, right? With phones and Skype, and it makes it a lot easier to look outside of your time zone. And I think that that is something that's going up. So we can definitely look into that as well. But yeah, thank you for your comment and question. Okay, well, thank you all very much.